So the other day we talked about the news. Now let's talk about the comments from the video of the news. What do you say? What are the benefits of war? If you give me one legit example, I'll give you blowjobs for life. Well, it stimulates an economy for one thing. Even if you don't want to admit it, war is great for the economy. And what does the government exist for? If you've seen anything in American culture, the government exists to make money. That's what capitalism is, right? If war makes you money, especially in a time when you lack money, war is great. Whether you want to admit it or not, it is. Does that mean that it's good for me? No. I personally view it to be abhorrent, but that's the easy side to take. There's not a single rational person in this country that will look at you crooked if you come out and say that you're against the concept of war. That's easy. However, if you want to take apart politics and you want to see why you're against war, then you need to see it from a rational point of view, which many people cannot do. And logically, if you look at war, especially this war, you can see that it's fought for two things: oil and the profit from oil. The idea that you can cure terrorism, that you can make it just not exist at all, is foolish. Which brings me to the second benefit of war: overt patriotism. If you can get the lowest common denominator to stand behind your bullshit, you can do whatever you want as a country, especially if you're so powerful. Let me explain this a little better. You know those little yellow magnets that a lot of people put on the back of their cars? The empty sentiments, as I like to call them. Let's support our troops. Even though we are fighting a war that is so unjust that it's fucking insane. A war so unjust that we put people in prison who prove it to be unjust. Anyway, those yellow magnets didn't exist before 9/11. At least, not the way that they do now. Sure, we had a lot of overt patriotism prior to 9/11, but it is unparalleled how much we gained after it. How many stupid people came out to before the war in Iraq without knowing anything about it, without knowing that Iraq and 9/11 had nothing to do with one another. We had fat, dumb people all over the country saying, let's do this thing, let's send our kids off to die. 10 years later, we're still sending our children off to die. Except now, people that are my age are the children that are being sent over to die, which makes it seem a little bit more apparent to me. I will be expecting those blowjobs anytime now. Thanks, bud. If 60% of people believe that gay marriage should be illegal and 40% believe it should be allowed, should the majority's opinion still be law in this perfect democracy? Okay, look, I'm not saying that in a true democracy, everything that would come of it would be a good thing. No. All that I am saying is that in a true democracy, 60% of the vote would have the heavier sway than 40% of the vote. Democracy is a stupid concept because you only have to appeal to the lowest common denominator. Capitalism is stupid because it makes people evil motherfuckers. And as long as war can make money, which it has for the entire duration of human development, then capitalism will be a terrible thing. Just the truth. Just the motherfucking truth. Gay people like being in the military because it's like being in a candy store. Right on. I suppose that's a better explanation than anything I can come up with. I mean, rationally, I can't think of any reason why anybody would want to be in a military that is so actively against their own best interest. It's like you sign up to be in the military and you pretty much sign your rights away that you are going to protect, even though you're not protecting shit. We're not in any need of any dire protection. Who is the threat to us? Do you really think Iraq is a threat to us? Do you really think Afghanistan is a threat to us? If we really wanted to go after the major threats, wouldn't we go after countries like Russia and China, countries that are actually developing faster than we are? Look, it's a sad reality that any soldier has to die for no reason. But it is especially fucked up that any human being on Earth has to die for false reasons. When the government tells you that you are fighting a war to fight terrorism, and really all you're doing is trying to gain more money, that's fucked up. And meanwhile, back at home, gay people still can't openly join the military. So you're fighting to protect the rights that don't even fucking exist. They don't exist. So maybe it is like being like a kid in the candy store. Maybe all those penises line up in a row for a gay guy and just like, hallelujah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna suck every dick before I leave. But somehow, I really doubt that shit. Somehow I think it's because there are some gay people in this country that care about America and care about the future of this country. Care about the ability for them to have rights in the future. That they see past this bullshit in a way that I cannot. And to that, I applaud you guys. Because you are much more men than me or most people are. Because I definitely wouldn't join a regime that was against me. President Clinton instituted Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and he is a Democrat. Alright, touche. Sure enough, he did do that. But that is what is wrong with democracy, because he was pushed in that direction. And just like any other president on earth, they're all just puppets for a system. Bill Clinton has since retracted this and said that he didn't go far enough, that he only did it because he was pushed. To me, this isn't forgivable, but it is proof that democracy doesn't work. It is 2010 and we are still fighting to protect the same civil liberties that shouldn't even be an issue at this point. I don't believe that most people are against gay marriage, just like I don't believe that most people are for don't ask, don't tell anymore. I just think that for the first time in human history, our social evolution has transcended our government. The government represents the big guy, the institutions, the ones that really make the country money, and it leaves everybody else to hang high and dry. So here's my question to you, YouTube. If you had complete control over the United States, if you had control over the budget, over the wars that we're waging, over everything, what would you do to change the system? Reply below. Me, myself, I don't know what I would do, honestly, because to make the world a better place, you have to make it a worse place for some people. There's no such thing as an objective good. While we were riding high on the Industrial Revolution, people in the Middle East were suffering. And that's why we're dealing with the shit we're dealing with today. We created those extremists in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. We created those revolutions by ravaging these places for oil, making their people work for nothing so our people could go on vacations at least once a year. It's what we call blowback, people. So, it can't exist. You can't have good without some bad. It just doesn't happen. So from my perspective, rather than destroying the lives of anybody, I would rather just critique the evil motherfuckers at bay. Because if you think that you can change anything for the good, you're probably evil. Sorry.